So, hi, I'm Weiser Cornell, and this is Support for Stressful Times. Times are still stressful. Sometimes it feels like even more so. What about you? How's your stress today? It's always nice to pause and sense. And here we are together in this moment that's already a kind of pausing. Taking the time to be on this webinar together. We can pause and bring awareness to ourselves, to our inner sensing, to the body and also the feelings, and say, how am I? How am I right now? Well, I'm noticing it. I feel happy to be with you. But earlier today, as I tuned in, I could feel a kind of underlying uneasiness. Like behind everything, it feels like there's a extra layer of stress. I can pin it to particular things like masks coming off, and yet the pandemic isn't over. Maria writes, today is more stressful than usual. Okay, what's your sense of it today? I say I can pin my sense of uneasiness to particular things, but I don't know yet if that's really what it's about. And one of the things that's lovely about this process of inner sensing called focusing is that we don't have to know the reasons or the answers. Those will come. It starts by simply being aware, simply being present. Very good. Marguerite says, I keep thinking all is well, but my body is incredibly tense. There you go. So there can be a mismatch between our thoughts and our body. And that brings curiosity. We can be curious about what's going on in the body. Let's take a moment together just to pause and sense, be aware of your body here and now. And also be aware of your body in the room around you. We are in our environment. We are in our situation. And I'm guessing that very likely the room you're in is one that's quiet and feels safe and familiar. Very likely. And then noticing how that feels. If you really pause and take in, yeah, right now I'm in a place where I feel safe and it's familiar. And that has an impact on how I feel. And how do I feel? And especially in that inner area that includes your throat, chest, and all the way down to your stomach and abdomen. It's like that area of the body picks up sensitively how we feel and is always ready to let us know how we feel. So sensing how that is now. Some people are writing in the chat about that. Elaine says, I'm tired from a family visit, in a drive, and can't feel my body except where my cat is laying and purring on me. Well, I'm so glad you have a cat and that there's an enjoyable feeling from that. And when you say, I can't feel my body, but you also said, I'm tired. So I'm guessing that you can feel tired in your body. Just checking. How do I know I'm tired? Probably there's a draggy feeling in the eyes or something. Erin is writing, I think I made the mistake of jumping to conclusions with my mind about why I feel stress, but I don't first wait to my body to reveal the true nature and cause of it. Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. It's very natural. Oh, it must be this, it must be that. Maybe that's true. But something really wonderful happens when we can pause and sense the body without a preconceived notion of what's bringing the feeling. Even a feeling of tired, and you were with the family, and you took a drive, but the feeling of tired might be from more than that. The uneasiness, the sense of stress might be your unique way of approaching the world. Not just that that's happening, but that it has a particular kind of impact on you because of who and what you are, what you value, what you care about, and what's happened to you in your life. And all of that is so valuable and illuminating. And when you can get in touch with it itself, the feeling and what brings it, and you do that by staying with it and sensing it, then there can be a sense of relief. Even when the outer circumstances don't change, when I get what is my unique handle or approach or angle on those things that are happening out there, I can feel so that's it. Lily writes, I'm sensing something in me that's feeling anxious and worried about making a mistake and being rejected and excluded, about doing it wrong. I can sense uneasiness, soreness, and a hint of dread in the center of my chest. Yes, I know that can be so painful to worry about making a mistake and have something in us that worries that because of doing something wrong, we're going to be excluded and rejected. And surely that comes from real experiences where that unfortunately has been true. And now what's possible is to be kind and gentle to the places in us that carry these feelings. I wanted to talk to you today about being kind and gentle to yourself, loving yourself, appreciating yourself. It's so beautiful and important to treat yourself with the kindness that you deserve as a living being, and that you speak to yourself with compassion and kindness the same way you might speak to anyone you love. My favorite phrase to say to myself is, I know that's hard. So I have uneasiness in my body. It's connected to stuff. Maybe I don't know all about how. Certainly worry about flying in a plane with everybody else not having their mask on is a part of it. But there's a general feeling of uneasiness and uncertainty. There's a war going on again. Often there's war. There's one that's closer now. And the sorrow for so many lives broken and hurt is here with me. Can I be kind to those feelings in myself? Can I be compassionate? If you're feeling anxious and worried about making a mistake, can you say, I'm sensing something in me is anxious and worried about making a mistake, and I can be kind to that. I can be with that. Maria writes, there's something in me that feels angry for no apparent reason. Yeah. So that's another great example. Something in me feels angry. I don't know the reason, but can I trust and respect that there's some good reason, even if I don't know it yet? So I'm kind and compassionate to my feelings, and that includes respecting my feelings. Respecting. Our bodies don't feel these ways for no good reason. Feelings have a connection to life itself, to what's going on, to what's happening. So Maria can turn toward the feeling of angry, find it in her body. She's already saying something in me is angry, so that's a good start. And then say, hello, I know you're there. I'm listening. I sense how angry you are. Something important and real has brought this anger, this angry feeling. We're sensing how we feel and sensing it from a place of acceptance and compassion. You can be that one, that larger self that turns toward your feelings with acceptance and compassion, whatever they are. Daniel writes, it's hard not to feel like we're making a mistake with conflicting messages from government doctors, government specialists. Should we mask? Should we not mask? Yes. Something in me doesn't like conflicting messages. Something in me would really like to have a simple message that not just me, but everybody else is agreeing on. And I'm acknowledging that. So how are you right now? And is it possible to turn toward how you're feeling with kindness? With the idea that maybe, just maybe, there isn't anything wrong with how I'm feeling. I'm still okay, even though this feeling is here. It might be painful, unpleasant, uncomfortable, and I'm still here, and I'm still okay. And, if not, if it's really hard to be compassionate to yourself, then see if you can be compassionate to that. Something in me is finding it hard to be compassionate to myself. Hello. I'm turning toward the something in me that's finding it hard to be compassionate. It's worth a try. Andrea writes, I'm trying to bring compassion to the tenseness and pain in my body. I can see why that might not be easy, Andrea. She says, otherwise, something in me can become more afraid, and another part can be judging towards how I'm handling things. Right. So there's kind of a sequence that you're realizing that first, maybe there's the tenseness and pain in the body, and then that can become increasing fear about that and judgment. You're not handling your life correctly. And then we have a number of things going on, which might already be true. Something judging, something worried, anxious, afraid, and then still the pain and tenseness itself. And what do we do then? What do we do when we have so much going on? Feelings reacting to feelings, parts reacting to parts. Well, it's quite often true. So it'll be nice to have a way to approach that. And my favorite way to approach it is with the word and. And, one of the most facilitative words in any language. So I'm sensing something in me is judging me for not handling things right so that I don't feel pain. And I'm sensing something in me is scared that the pain is going to get worse, that it means something bad about me. And I'm sensing the pain itself. And I am here with all of them. And the power of this attitude and this approach and this language is that you get to be bigger than any of your stressful feelings. You are bigger than any of your stressful feelings, but it doesn't always seem that way. Sometimes it can seem like our stressful feelings are weighing us down, overwhelming us, crushing us. Well, as soon as you notice that, you can start by acknowledging that that's how it feels. And then use the language, I'm sensing something in me feels this way, and I'm sensing something in me feels this way, and I am here with both, or I am here with all. So you are not in the struggle. Sometimes it can feel like a struggle. I'm in pain and I shouldn't be in pain. Which am I? Am I in pain, or am I upset because I'm in pain and feeling I shouldn't be? If I only have those two possibilities, I feel at odds with myself. I feel pulled back and forth. But there's a third possibility, that I am not either one of those. I am sensing something in me in pain. I am sensing something in me trying not to be in pain. And I am here. I am here with all of that. And I always take a deeper breath right there. I am here with all of that. There's some space then. Do you find that? The problem, if there is a problem, is still there. Maybe the feelings are still there, but there's space. And what do we do next with that space? Because that's not the end of it. What we do next is turn toward what we're feeling, to listen. And the turning toward has that quality of compassion. Nothing inside you is here to hurt you. Everything inside you is doing its best to try to save your life, really. So now that I'm not caught in it, dominated by it, overwhelmed by it, now I'm bigger than it is. I can say, hello, I know you're there. I'm here to listen. And then stay with it. Create a relationship of empathy and compassion. Haja writes, there's a corner on my small garden that makes my liver feel anxious for no reason that I know. How intriguing. That brings curiosity. She says, I'm saying hello to the place in my body, not sure if it's something in my body that's anxious or something in my garden that's anxious. I'm doing my best to bring gentleness and compassion, but there's also a wanting to understand. Of course there is. Wanting to understand is so, I want to say, understandable. And we will get to understanding. And the way to understanding is through sensing, relationship, staying with how we feel. I've seen people, I've done it too, find something in the body and then go up here to try to understand it. And you hear people like that saying, it must be this, or it's probably this. And that language, it must be, it's probably, lets us know that whatever is coming here is cut off. It's like, it must be raining. Well, if you say it must be raining, you're not out in the rain. You wouldn't say that. If you're inside in a room with no windows and somebody comes in the door with a wet umbrella, then you say it must be raining. But the person who's been out in the rain doesn't say it must be raining. They say it's raining. So down here is where we know, maybe not in words yet, what's really going on. Often the body doesn't speak in words. So we are learning a communication style, letting the body speak to us in its own language, the language of feeling, the language of images, the language of memories. It takes some patience and some trust. But staying with, like Haja would stay with the anxious in her liver. Check the word anxious to see if that's a good word for it, really. Maybe there's more descriptions for how it feels. And then sense there what hasn't been put into words yet. Aaron writes, sometimes the something in me that feels angry is so strong and dominated that it feels so difficult to find the calm, compassionate place in me that can listen to and feel compassion. Like something in me wants to stay angry and resists the calm, compassionate approach. Yes, I can understand that, especially with anger. I feel like often anger doesn't want somebody to be compassionate toward it. But what does it want? An angry part seems to want respect. And you might check if that's right for you. Like if I approach an angry part with calm, it feels like I'm trying to tell it to be calm. And it doesn't want to be calm. Well, it doesn't have to. It can be as angry as it is. And I'll be here. But maybe I'll change my language. Like if I was feeling something sad, I would say, I'm here with you. But if I'm feeling something angry, I'll say, I'm here with you. And I'll let my voice show some strength because I want to validate that it's okay that it's angry. And if I meet it with softness instead of strength, maybe it feels like I'm trying to change it. I hope that helps. Elaine, I'm sensing something in me is numb and distant right now. Beautiful. I love that language. That's a great way to be with what's here. Andrea writes, what you're sharing is so gentle and comforting, and I'm letting the comfort in. Oh, that's wonderful. So glad you can do that. That's great. Marguerite writes, I've been working hard on myself and still keep making old mistakes so often, and I feel a bit sad about that and lonely. Okay. And how about saying something in me is sad about that? And something in me feels lonely about it. And something in me is making old mistakes. And I can be forgiving and compassionate toward it. So I think it's probably like this. Something in me is making an old mistake, and something else is judging that. What's wrong with you? You know better than that. And then I bring a compassionate, accepting place to both of them, the one making the mistake and the one that's judging it, because a judging part is always worried. So it's worried about me making mistakes. It can tell me more about what it's worried about that. And that way you are not either one of those, not the judge and not the one that's making the mistakes. So Aura writes, what if I can't find a felt sense? Well, how you're feeling is always here. Never mind whether we call it a felt sense or not. We start with how we're feeling. Maybe you saw the chat where Elaine wrote, something in me is numb and distant. Maybe numb and distant is how you're feeling now. Well, that's something, though. That's not the same as not feeling anything. So what are you feeling right now? I remember a time when I thought I couldn't find any feelings in my body, but when I look back on that time, I was feeling lots of things, but I didn't think they counted. I was worried about not finding a feeling. Maria writes, there's something in me that feels like I'm angry for rushing around. Oh, so, wow, a minute ago, you didn't know why you were angry. And now a step has come. It's something about rushing around. And that's exactly how it happens when we have a kind of openness to ourselves. We're curious, we have respect. How I feel makes sense somehow. I don't know yet why it feels that way, but I'm going to stay with it anyway. And then something emerges or comes, and that's what happened for Maria. Oh, feels like it's about rushing around. Now there's so much that's still not known. Like, what is it about rushing around that brings this feeling of anger? So each time a new kind of knowing comes, we have a new kind of acceptance and curiosity that, okay, and there's some good reason for that. But the attitude is always of compassion, acceptance, curiosity. And compassion takes many forms. If it's compassion for something sad, very tender, sweet compassion. If it's compassion for something angry, it's very respectful compassion. Yes, I say to it, you're angry. Uh-huh. Isn't that better than, oh, yes, you're angry? Uh-huh. It's a relationship, and it's an inner relationship where you are the listener, bringing your accepting qualities to what you feel inside. Daniel writes, I tried, something in me has made a mistake. A critic pops up and says, no, you should take responsibility for your actions. Well, that's an interesting point, Daniel. I think we are responsible for our actions, even if it's a part of us that does that. Like yesterday, I found myself yelling at my poor partner. I felt stressed, he felt stressed, and yelling was the result. Well, it's not going to work for me to say, I'm sorry, it was only a part of me that yelled at you. It wasn't really me. I have to take responsibility. We have only one body. We are only one being. We are responsible for our actions. And if we made a mistake that hurt somebody else, we'll say, I'm sorry. I wish I hadn't done that. I know that hurt. But I can still be curious about that something in me that got triggered and started to yell because it wasn't in accordance with my values. So I can say to myself, can I get to know better whatever that was that felt like yelling was the only possibility at that point. It felt backed up against the wall. I can get to know that better while still taking responsibility for what I did. Well, my dears, we've come to the end of our time. Just to summarize what I've said today, can we be kind to ourselves and curious and open and create a relationship with what we're feeling? And if you're having trouble feeling anything, the relationship is an openness to the feelings that may come and an acceptance of what's here right now, which may be something that feels numb and absent. So we say yes to what's here. Yeah, okay, that's what's here now. Okay. Nice to be with you. Thank you. We'll do it again in 2 weeks. Do come back. Lovely to be with you. Bye for now.